Running commentary. We are exploring listening to albums. It is a lost art form. We sat down and we listened to the artist's vision and concept. The Beatles, Abbey Road. The Beatles' Abbey Road was released in 1969. It was their 11th studio album. It wasn't the last album that they recorded, but it was the last album that they recorded together. Abbey Road was used because it was where they'd recorded most of their songs since 1962. It's located in the Swiss Cottage section of London, close to Lord's Cricket Ground and right above Regent's Park. For those people that don't know, it's a very, very affluent area. I believe Elton John's lived there, Liam Gallagher. But Abbey Road was significant, really, in that it had the iconic pedestrian crossing, which many people, as fun, will try to duplicate on their own cameras and such. Neither the group's name nor the title of the album was on the cover, and this was a first for them. So George Martin is absolutely at the top of his game on this album. Sonically, this album achieves things. The musicianship is great. The spiritual vibe here is really in earnest. The styling of the Beatles at this point is just genius. Gone is the clean cut. Now we have these sort of long hippie suits with these hipster beards, actually. These guys are like the ultimate hipster looking, except they are the Beatles, so it makes a really big difference with their long pantsuits and their shaggy hair. Lots of peace and love, and I would imagine a fair amount of LSD. But I think Come Together is a great song. I think it's a number one, actually, for the Beatles in the US, whereas it was not released as a single in the UK. To me, I understand that other people like it, and I respect it. I hated Michael Jackson covering it. I thought that was a terrible idea. Something is a brilliantly written, amazing pop song. It's probably one of the best songs, I think, ever written. Shirley Bassey's cover of it was amazing. It's a real torch song, and they do it beautifully. The guitar is subtle. I love the chord progressions on this. I mean, what can you say? This song is an absolutely brilliant testament to the je ne sais quoi of love, really, isn't it? It's that special something. And how does that song manage to be that song? You can't quite put your finger on why you love this so much, but it is just a beautiful song and really significant for George Harrison in terms of songwriting. Maxwell's Silver Hammer, lots of fun, lots of instrumentation going on there. We like that very much. Oh Darling, a very famous track. It's much more approachable. It's not kind of affected in the ways that some of the other tracks are. Oh Darling's kind of a straight sort of song with a melody, and it's just sort of verse chorus, and it's a great song. Octopus's Garden to me is like Yellow Submarine Part 2. It's fine, it's funny, and I'd like to be in an Octopus's Garden, great. I don't really know what I'd imagine that's some LSD right there. That would be what I would think. I Want You, She's So Heavy. OMG. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Beatles as you've never heard them. They really went for it. The bass is great, the progression, the sonics on this. And when I picked this up, my copy of this actually, just as a little footnote, we were in Massachusetts, Cape Cod, and this song comes on and we are flying down these darkened country lanes of Massachusetts, and this is pumping out of the stereo. And I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. I mean, this is how great this song is. It's like a thrill ride. And the musicianship, and you have so much respect for them to having arrived at this place of creativity and sphere and depth. And it's this album is going to be a really important part of what the Beatles' legacy is, because the musicianship, songwriting, production, absolutely brilliant in every way. Here Comes the Sun. This is popular with everybody. How can you not love a song that's called Here Comes the Sun, especially in miserable England where it's pissing down with rain every 5 minutes? You know, we all are happier when the sun is out. A song about it's probably a good idea, particularly when you are the Beatles. They do kind of throw back to that very approachable pop thing, don't they? With Oh Darling and Here Comes the Sun. Very, very pop, approachable hits. Because it's all about the harmonies here, isn't it? The layered harmonies, because the world is round and it's this long... This is a record best enjoyed with some brown liquor or some marijuana. It really is a stoner's record, which is when you're listening to it straight, that you are like, wow, I'd love to know who their supplier was. It's at the pinnacle of creativity. Some of their songs just happened. Like, I mean, you couldn't write Because If You Tried. You Never Give Me Your Money, great track. Sun King, Mean Mr. Mustard, Polythene Pam. You know, we've got these sort of short bursts here. The middle of this album here is now sort of like really going wonky for me in terms of titles and direction. She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, Golden Slumbers, all kind of for me kind of run into one. It's this sort of journey where we are really going with it now. I don't know that anyone knows what anyone's talking about at this point. I think that was a really good joint that we just had, and these 5 songs are the result of that. Carry That Weight, classic Beatles song. They're not messing around in any aspect of this. If you think of it, there's like at least 7 or 8 great songs on this album, and Carry That Weight ties in with that sort of chanting that they do and that sort of style they've got into of like Sgt. Pepper's. Carry That Weight to me could equally live on Sgt. Pepper's. Then we have The End and Her Majesty. And you know, I'm not going into detail on all the tracks, I'm just highlighting the things that have really stood out for me. They ended at the top of their game, there's no way around that. I just wonder if the women involved was ultimately what kind of separated the Beatles in terms of Yoko Ono and Linda McCartney. I never liked the fact that Linda McCartney was involved in Wings, for example. I understood that she was loved and respected, and I get all that, but there was something about Linda McCartney being in Wings which really got up my snout, and I do feel as though Yoko Ono and Linda McCartney were like, tried to act as though they were like the extra members of the Beatles, and I was never buying that. I would give Abbey Road 81% as a final score. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, recommend it to friends, post comments. Also, if you have an album that you'd like to hear reviewed, we welcome your requests.